Lena Mitchell thought she had it all. The lavish penthouse in downtown Chicago, private jets, and dinners at exclusive restaurants. Her life seemed like a dream come true. And then, just when she thought she found her happily ever after, it all came crashing down. Her husband, Lucas Grant, a 60-year-old self-made billionaire, was dead. But his death wasn't just any death. It was cold, calculated, and shrouded in mystery. The world had no idea that the man Lena had loved and trusted for so long harbored a past so dark it could destroy everything she'd worked for. One quiet autumn evening, Lucas was found slumped over his desk, a single gunshot wound to his head. The penthouse was locked from the inside. No forced entry, no fingerprints on the weapon. It looked like an execution. No one could figure out who pulled the trigger, not even Lena. What happened to the man who seemed untouchable? And what would Lena do now that the secrets of his past threatened to tear apart everything she had? Welcome to the Dark Chronicles, true crimes and mystery tales. If you are new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories like this. Lena Mitchell had always been driven. Growing up in a small town, she knew what it meant to struggle. Her parents, both hardworking and honest, gave her everything they could, but they couldn't give her the life Lena longed for. She dreamed of more, of luxury, of success, of escaping the confines of a life defined by limitations. Her ambition burned brightly, a constant reminder that settling was never an option. Lena believed that if she wanted something, she had to go after it, no matter the cost. By the time she moved to Chicago, Lena had built a successful career for herself in public relations, working with high-profile clients and attending exclusive events. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. Yet, despite her accomplishments, something was still missing. She craved the kind of life that only came with power, true, undeniable influence. And then she met Lucas Grant. Lucas was the kind of man who made people pause, take a second look, and wonder how someone so enigmatic could exist. At 60, he was self-made and incredibly powerful. The kind of man whose name carried weight in both the business world and social circles. He had built his fortune from the ground up, real estate, technology, and various investments that made him one of the wealthiest men in the country. But more than just wealth, Lucas radiated a quiet confidence that was almost magnetic. He didn't flaunt his money or success. In fact, he kept much of his life behind closed doors, making his every word and gesture seem purposeful. Lena wasn't looking for love when she first met him. She was focused on her career, on building her own future. But Lucas intrigued her in a way no one else ever had. Their first few encounters were casual conversations that lingered long into the night, discussing everything from business strategies to life's biggest questions. With each passing conversation, Lena felt more connected to Lucas. There was an intensity about him, a deep understanding of ambition, success, and drive that mirrored her own. Their bond quickly turned into something more. What started as mutual respect blossomed into a whirlwind romance. Within a year, Lena found herself living in his penthouse, surrounded by the kind of luxury she had always dreamed of. It was a life she could never have imagined in her small-town beginnings. Private jets to exclusive vacations, dinners with the city's most influential figures, and a constant stream of lavish gifts and attention from Lucas. But beneath the surface of this perfect life, there were signs of tension, subtle cracks that Lena didn't fully notice at first. Lucas's charm and quiet confidence were irresistible, but they began to feel controlling. Lena, too, caught up in the luxury of it all, brushed aside the minor red flags. After all, what did it matter? She had the life she wanted, the future she'd always dreamed of. Yet, As time passed, Lena began to realize that there was more to Lucas than the charming billionaire she had fallen for. At first, it was subtle, small gestures that Lena brushed off as a product of Lucas's overwhelming success. After all, a man with so much power and influence would naturally want to keep tabs on people around him, right? But as the months went by, Lena began to notice things that didn't sit well with her. Lucas's affection, once generous and free-flowing, started to feel more like a constant check on her behavior. He would text her during meetings, asking where she was or who she was with. It wasn't out of genuine concern, but out of a need to know, to control. At first, Lena dismissed it as Lucas being protective. After all, wasn't that normal for someone who had so much at stake? But soon his requests turned into demands. If Lena was out for a late dinner with friends, Lucas would question her about every detail. Where was she sitting? Who was she talking to? What were they discussing? It wasn't just the small intrusive questions. It was the way he would cancel plans at the last minute, expecting her to drop everything to be with him, even though she had other commitments. The isolation became more pronounced. Lucas would create situations where Lena had no choice but to prioritize him over everything else. The luxury, the glamour of it all began to feel more like a gilded cage. Lena began to doubt herself. Was she overreacting? Was she reading too much into the situation? She had never experienced anything like this before, and a part of her still wanted to believe that this was just the price of a life so far removed from the ordinary. But deep down, the unease wouldn't go away. It lingered, nagging at her whenever she was alone with her thoughts. The unease only deepened when Lena began to hear whispers about Lucas's first wife, Rachel. She had always been aware of Rachel's death, but had never pressed Lucas about it. After all, it seemed like a painful subject for him, and he had never been the type to openly discuss his past. But as Lena's suspicions about Lucas's behavior grew, so did her curiosity about Rachel's death. At first, the rumors were small, casual comments at social gatherings, hushed voices that spoke of a tragic accident. Rachel had died in a fall from the penthouse balcony, the kind of death that could be easily explained away. But there were cracks in the story. 2. Why had no one ever questioned the circumstances of her fall? Why had Lucas seemed so unaffected by her passing, moving on to Lena so quickly? The whispers didn't stop at the accident. There were murmurs of something more. Talk of Rachel having been on the verge of divorcing Lucas, of financial troubles that had plagued their marriage. As Lena continued to listen, her suspicions began to take shape. Was Lucas involved in Rachel's death? Could he have been the one who pushed her to her tragic end just to inherit everything she had? Lena couldn't ignore the mounting tension between her desire for success and the growing suspicion that Lucas's charming facade was hiding something darker. Could her ambition, her dreams of luxury and power be blinding her to the truth? Was she willing to turn a blind eye to something this dark, just to hold on to the life she had built? Her internal conflict became unbearable. She wanted to believe in Lucas's love, in the promise of the life he'd given her. But the truth, the one she couldn't ignore anymore, was that there was something dangerous lurking beneath the surface of their perfect life. Lena didn't know what the truth was yet, but she could feel it in her bones. The deeper she dug, the more unsettling the answers would become. When Lena finally decided to hire a private investigator, it was a decision born of desperation. She had reached a breaking point, torn between the life Lucas had given her and the haunting questions about his past. The investigator she hired was a man named James Thompson, a seasoned professional who had built a reputation for uncovering the most elusive truths. He wasn't cheap, but Lena felt there was no other option. If she was going to live in this gilded world of luxury, She needed to know what lay beneath the surface. James Thompson uncovered startling evidence about Rachel's death. There were large, unexplained withdrawals from Lucas's accounts timed just before Rachel's death. These payments, which Lucas had dismissed as routine business expenses, were anything but. They led back to a series of offshore accounts that had been set up only months before Rachel's death. The amounts were staggering, large enough to raise suspicion, but small enough to go unnoticed in a life filled with wealth and luxury. Even more disturbing were the patterns James uncovered in Lucas's behavior leading up to Rachel's death. Lena had always known Lucas to be meticulous and calculating, but now she saw how his every move had been engineered. He had been carefully positioned to inherit everything Rachel had: her wealth, her assets, and her influence in the business world. The revelations continued to pile up. Rachel had been planning to divorce Lucas. Her financial records showed she had consulted lawyers about a divorce settlement just days before her fall. The implications were damning. Could Lucas have planned Rachel's death to secure everything he wanted? As Lena stood at the crossroads of this investigation, she found herself in a precarious position. The new evidence was undeniable, but so was her connection to Lucas. She loved him, or had she loved the image of him, the man he allowed her to see? The weight of this internal battle consumed her as much as the external pressure from the authorities. The investigation into Lucas's death moved quickly, but it was anything but straightforward. Detective Olivia Collins, a seasoned investigator, was assigned to the case. She immediately focused on the locked room. There was no sign of a break-in, no fingerprints, and no witnesses. To her, it seemed like the perfect crime. But the deeper she dug, the more contradictions she uncovered. The questions kept coming. What do you think happened to Lucas Grant? Was his death a consequence of his past catching up with him? Or did someone close to him finally take matters into their own hands? Could Lena be the key to unlocking the mystery? Or is there more to this story than she even realizes? Never forget, the pursuit of power and luxury can blind us to the darker truths hidden beneath the surface, and that trusting someone completely without understanding their past can lead to devastating consequences. And confronting uncomfortable truths is often necessary, even if it means losing everything we've worked for. Please, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below with your theories. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking twists in this case. There's more to uncover, and you won't want to miss what comes next.